like everyone that's in Web3 is probably very smart, very driven, and willing to take a lot of willing to do a lot to figure things out. Most people aren't like that, and we're probably like the top 1% of 1% of people that are like, I mean, especially you, like you're in so early, like it's just like it's gonna be a while before you start seeing you're like a lot of like older people do stuff.
GM. Welcome back to another episode of Behind the Screen with Gramajo, the podcast where we unravel the stories, insights, and secrets from top-tier artists, avid collectors, and innovative builders shaping the digital frontier, better known as Web3. I'm your host, Gramajo, an avid crypto enthusiast that's been in the space since 2012. Joined the NFT space in 2021 and never left. Yeah, so this week's episode is pretty cool. I sat down with Chase Sommer, who is the creator of Santa Sumai, which is a text-based RPG game based on the Farcaster protocol. So it's like an on-chain game. Yeah, we really got to talk about kind of what that experience has been like building a Web3 game, specifically an on-chain game. This is also, I interviewed someone else named Noah, who also did a Web3 game. So yeah, getting a little bit into the Web3 gaming space, which I'm very bullish on overall, in terms of like being effective at onboarding people into Web3. Yeah, so I hope you enjoy this episode. Let's dive in. Yeah, did you want to start off with who is Chase? You know, obviously feel free to dox yourself about as much as you feel comfortable, no pressure.
Yeah, Chase is actually not my real name. It's my internet name.
Oh, that's perfect. That's even great.
No, I'm kidding.
Oh, I was gonna say.
Yeah,
I was like, wow,
normal.
You chose a legit like first name, last name to not be your like real name at all.
No, that's my name. I dox myself. I'm part of the few crypto people that are totally cool with that. I mean, going like Facebook and everyone's doxing each other, so I probably more lean like, I don't know. You'll eventually figure who I am. I don't need to hide. I'm not rich enough to really need to care about security. So
that's hella funny. Yeah,
you come rob me. You'll probably be really disappointed. But yeah. So I'm Chase. And on all my socials, I'm Chase Sommer. That's me. And I am just a big old dork. I'm married to Maddie, and she's also on Farcaster. And I have two kids, 8-month Monroe and 2.5-year-old Fox. And then from the Chicagoland area in the States, but I'm currently living in North Carolina, kind of where Epic Games is, if anyone knows where that is. And then, yeah, so I'm a big dork. I'm a big gamer, lifelong gamer. I don't know. My gaming progression, sometimes people like to say like the games that they grew up with. It was like Pokemon on the Game Boy SP, and then and then I guess like RuneScape was a huge one for me, and then just World of Warcraft. So I'm big on gaming, long term. I don't know, that's just what I do. And I've made a career out of it. And so yeah, it's a little bit about me. Oh yeah, I guess I was an analyst for a while, and now I'm a game designer at Game 7. And then yeah, just I do a bunch of other random stuff too on Farcaster and just in life. And yeah, so I mean, does that kind of give you a decent background?
Yeah. A couple things from there. I didn't know Epic was in
Cary. Yeah,
I didn't realize that they were over there.
Is
there like a lot of gaming companies out there?
We are in something called like the Research Triangle, and it's like it's like a mini tech hub over here. So Raleigh, Cary, Durham, and then like Chapel Hill, and there's like a few big universities like NC State, UNC, some big other ones, but So yeah, there's not a ton of like gaming studios, but there's a lot of it's like a mini tech hub, a lot of healthcare stuff. Naturally with all the hospitals, um, yeah, you have Epic, and then a bunch of other things I don't truly know, but it's a great place to live. So I definitely recommend. If I know a lot of people from California and the north are coming here, we're transplants as well, so it's a decent cost of living, and it's really nice. So pretty mild, no snow, but you still get all four
Yeah.
seasons. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice. There's tons of places here. It's it's like on the top 10 places to live for a long time.
Yeah, my bad. I got confused. I know you guys went to Chicago recently, and that's where my brain was at for a second.
Yeah, I mean we're
Yeah,
from the Chicagoland area, so my family's still there. Maddie's family is in Florida now. But yeah, we go back to Chicago. But we don't really like the snow. We don't like the bitter cold. We're fine with like again like we get four seasons here in Cary or North Carolina. We really like it. So it still gets down to like 30 degrees. But again, like if it snows, it's here for like hours and then it's gone. So
yeah.
um, yeah. But
I like North Carolina.
have you been here? Or?
Yeah, but like I've been to because there's a lot of biotech companies out there.
Yeah, yeah,
Sorry, I'm still getting over a cough. Yeah, there's a lot of biotech companies, and I used to be in biotech for a while, so
okay,
I literally went to our office there, um, and that was it. Like I
yeah,
didn't even get to do anything else. Essentially, like I
yeah.
just did that.
I've
So I've
actually
gone, but
never.
like I really feel like I haven't gone. If that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good food here too. Um, which is another reason why we like it. There's a lot of I don't know, a little bit of everything. And coming from Chicago, like we weren't going to move to a place that had bad food. Um, one of the
Yeah.
big reasons we were in Florida for a little bit for like a year, and like one of the reasons we're not a fan of Florida is the food's not that good down there. Sorry, my Florida friends, but it's just not. You like because like you get a lot of older people that have a lot of money, but maybe that I don't know. It's just like they're willing to pay a lot of money for like nothing. Like that's not, and it's touristy, so like you get a lot of places that like are selling just not good food for very expensive prices, and you're like, who's paying for this, and why is this rated 4.5 stars? Like this is awful. So yeah, here in the Raleigh area, like there's lots of good food. I mean, it's not like a big city, but it's for the size and for all this, it's perfect for us. So, but yeah,
Yeah,
yep,
that's awesome. Let's see. So I know that you said I saw an interesting cast from you that I wanted to kind of explore with you a little bit. So it was regarding like getting paid in USDC. And the
yeah,
reason kind of why I bring it up is like I bring it up more as a question around how you transition like from
yeah,
let's say Web 2 or like regular in real life to like now being in Web 3. And then on top of
yeah,
that, like it seems like you went not just into Web 3 casually, like, hey, I'm getting paid at USDC, like you're on Farcaster, you're
yeah,
building a game. So like, yeah, I wanted to kind of explore that transition with you. Like, uh,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So this is my I basically read. I actually have it on my desk here, but I I I read this book, Read Write Own by Chris Dixon,
yeah,
and that book basically onboarded me to Web3 because it did a really good job in explaining like blockchain in English, like just very simple layman's terms that I could understand. And I was reading that book in preparation for my current role. Um, and yeah, and like, and Chris Dixon basically in some of his interviews, like I read the book and then I started watching some of his interviews. He just kept mentioning Farcaster. So I was just like, okay, I'll go into Farcaster. I'm not really like a big social media dude. I don't like consuming it. I just whenever I'm on it, like honestly, like my brain is just always all over the place, and like you get addicted to the notifications. I don't like it. I prefer to be quiet, but Farcaster is a little bit different. I'm willing to make that sacrifice and be super active on it because it's a very special place. But we can get back to that. But like the way I onboarded was reading this book and hearing that and getting into Farcaster, and it was kind of like a big jump to get paid in USDC, even though it's USDC, and that seems super boring to like Web3 people who have been in it for a long time. But for me, like I was coming from your standard like all crypto's a scam. This isn't real. Like these people are like I can't trust this. Like what like I'm not going to use a bank. Like what? How does that work? Like, but at the same time, I do feel like I'm someone who's willing to take risks when like this new job, and I was like, this is like a really sweet like dream job, like as a game designer. There's a lot of this weird Web3 stuff, but I'm willing to learn it. And yeah, the more I learned about it, the more I was like, okay, this could work. And yeah, man. I think I'm kind of rambling a little bit here, but like those are kind of some of my feelings and thoughts as I was transitioning. Super hesitant. I only was using USDC. Um, and I saw a post recently about someone criticizing stablecoins, and I was like, nah, dude. Like stablecoins is where the normies are going to come in, because that's like if you're already hesitant about putting money into this fake digital currency, at least you want it to be one to one, be able to take it right back out, right? Like do a transaction, dip your toe in, come right back out. And it's like a gateway. And so I feel like USDC or like stable coins or whatever are super important for that fact. And then, yeah, I also onboarded with like Coinbase because it was a US based company. I felt like they were following the US laws. And like, so I think Coinbase is great in that sense too, because yeah, like again, like there are lots of scams. There are people getting rugged. You can, like, people are warning all the time about your wallet getting drained by clicking a link. Like, people, I think people in Web3 are super desensitized about, like, what happens. When I go pay for a coffee, I don't have the risk of my entire bank account being drained. Right? Like, there are some things that normies are not, like, that, like, Web3 is still super, like, Wild West. And I still like I feel like I could still relate to that feeling of like crypto is wild. Crypto is kind of like scary. And but I at the same time, reading this book, I was starting to understand some of the concepts behind like blockchain, not just like the cryptocurrency, but like blockchains in the back end. And like you can do other things with blockchain. It doesn't need to be like a token. You can do, I don't know, some other, like a lot of other things, which we can get to later about like some of my games and just long-term goals. But like, those things were starting to click, and I was willing to take the risk. I really want to make games, and this opportunity with this job was like my first really big opportunity to do that. And so I was willing to just go all in. And um, yeah, my wife was Maddie is very supportive. And I was like, hey, this is kind of risky. But I think this is the way to achieve my dreams. Are you willing to support me, or are you willing to do that? And she was like, yeah, of course. So she's super supportive of all this stuff. So big shout out to her. But yeah, that was a really long-winded answer to onboarding to crypto.
No, you're good,
Yeah,
man. I think
yeah.
I think that opinion is really I think it's really critical, because you're right. Like, I mean, for context for you, like I've been in crypto since 2012.
Oh wow,
Like very late 2012. So like December. So like I literally like graduated college, got my first job, and within 3 months of having like a steady paycheck, immediately was like, let's buy like Bitcoin on a consistent
dang,
basis, you know?
dang.
So there was no stable coins back then. Well, I guess we had Tether, but like there was a lot of rumors about Tether like not being, they don't show the books, and they don't follow the law as much. And
Gotcha.
I come from a legal background, so I tend to be a little bit like more risk adverse
Yeah,
than some people. And also like I'm not really. Well, I wasn't like a citizen of the country or a green card holder, so I'm like even way more risk adverse in
Yeah.
terms of like messing with the
Yeah.
government. Like I'm not trying to
Yeah.
give them a reason for them to
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
deport me.
Yeah.
so yeah, anyways, like I think it's a really important thing to say, like, and 100% I think you're right. I think stable coins are like an easy way to get people to make that transition easier. So I think it's important for you
Yeah.
to highlight all that.
Yeah.
Were you already living in North Carolina before? Okay. So it wasn't like move to crypto, switch to USDC, and we're moving to North Carolina. It wasn't like
Well,
one big rug.
actually, so okay, we're from Chicago. We've lived in Iowa, DC, Florida, and North Carolina. We've been married for like 6 years, so we've moved a ton. Um, we actually were coming. So we were living in Florida to try to save money for a house. We were living with Maddie's parents.
Yeah.
Um, and so we actually did. We moved, new job with, and then also had a baby. So we did a lot of major changes in this last year,
Yeah,
like
that's a
the
lot,
last six
man.
months. Yeah, and it was kind of just like one of those like, dude, screw it. Like we are like so we need like there's like too much change, but at the same time, like if everything's up in the air, let's just go for it because I don't know. It was just like one of those like there's just so much happening. But so we did actually like I don't know. I mean looking back at it, I'm like, wow, like that's a lot. No wonder I've been like super stressed and like
Yeah.
just like a lot of change. But um again, like I'm Maddie's always super supportive. I work very hard to try to make it all worth it and but yeah, I mean and just like a little note on like the stable coin, like I guess I'm specifically talking like USDC and then like the native currency. I don't know any other stable coins really. So when I'm talking like literally like matching the currency. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know.
Like the peg to the dollar, and
Yeah.
yeah, like the very
Yeah.
US centric view,
Yeah.
which is a very common view. You know, I know it's very international, like crypto is very international, but
Yeah.
if you look at the data and stuff like that, like there's a reason why there's a lot of people in the US on crypto,
Yeah.
and yeah, so like it does skew very American across the board for a reason, you know, like
Yeah.
Coinbase is huge, USDC is huge, and yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Coinbase, I think so. Like, I have a very just small brain uh, thoughts on all this, but like, I feel like Coinbase is trying to do everything by the books and try to help work with lawmakers to get things done. And I think like they have the cheapest fees. They probably have the higher fees on things, but like it's also like a place where like you can trust. So like if you're new, like that's where I point people. Like I'm not going to point people to places across overseas because that just sounds even sketchier. But yeah, I like Coinbase. I guess I've started to like gravitate other places now that I'm like a little bit more comfortable. But to start, like I feel like that's like the perfect place to point people. Um, but but yeah, that's I don't know, just some thoughts on like getting like diving deep into all this world. There's a lot to learn. I think just another note on like onboarding people is like there's like there's an insane learning curve to Web3, and like everyone that's in Web3 is probably very smart, very driven, and willing to take a lot of like willing to do a lot to figure things out. Most people aren't like that, and we're probably like the top 1% of 1% of people that are like, I mean, especially you, like you're in so early, like it's just like it's gonna be a while before you start seeing you're like a lot of like older people or just like people in general like onboarding like there's I think there's a lot of cool momentum, but like I still think it's a little whiles away. um it's
Yeah.
just there's just too much friction, there's just too much it's a lot, dude. Like like again, like the thought of like me having to be careful about any link I click now because I don't want my entire wallet to be drained. And then I guess like you have to like I'm learning about like you have to have other wallets and cold wallets, but like again, like that's still like think of all those layers compared to just having a debit card and a bank account. Like it's just yeah. There's a lot. I'm very optimistic. Be very clear. I'm very optimistic. I wouldn't be doing this if I wasn't. But at the same time, we're just like the cliche of like very early. Even now, I still feel like that. I I tend to like to find new topics before they're mainstream, and I did that. I feel like I'm doing that, but like you guys might say that I'm late, but I still think like there's so much time before
No.
a ton of people on board and stuff. But I don't know, just some random thoughts.
No, I would say I would agree with you. You know, I don't even consider myself that early. Early in like certain sense, like with Bitcoin maybe, but like late on ETH, like I didn't believe in ETH for a long time. So like there was a
Yeah,
very big BTC only like maxi land,
yeah,
and that's where and I was in that land for a very long time where even something like ETH, it was considered like a shitcoin. You know, like the same thing.
yeah,
It all cycles back. Everyone's like, like Dogecoin, that's a shitcoin, or like DGen, it's not a real coin, and it's like same thing. It just keeps going over and over again. You know,
yeah,
some new coin pops up, and that was ETH for a long time.
yeah.
So
I
you know,
I
early in some
currently
parts, late in others.
yeah. I mean, I feel like I mean I'm not sure if this is where you want to go, but like I I have some small brain thoughts about I'm talking about like that meme, like the
The midwit,
histogram with
yeah,
midwit.
yeah,
I have some small brain thoughts because I don't know the technical stuff.
yeah.
But
No,
like
go
on
ahead.
Solana, like
Oh, yeah,
everyone like rips on Solana in the ETH community, and like I think there's like some drama where like some people are going to Solana or whatever.
yeah,
I
yeah,
honestly couldn't give a crap, but like I think there's some real reasons why Solana should be thought of seriously, and it has a lot to do with the context of what we just talked about of onboarding.
yeah,
Is ETH? I mean Solana. A few pros just from small brain, like just thinking from intuition is um, one, amazing branding. Two,
yeah,
they have one layer. So when I was onboarded to ETH and was doing stuff on Zora, it took me a very long time to figure out that my Zora NFTs were not showing up in my wallet because my wallet was Base. And so I was like, where the heck are my NFTs? I was on OpenSea. I was like, why isn't this NFT that I minted in 2001 not in my wallet? Because it was on Ethereum mainnet. So there's a lot of things, and that's super confusing. And I was willing to put in a lot of effort to figure that out. Most people aren't. And again, coming back to like the original onboarding, Solana, so it's one chain, and you don't have to do any layers, and it's just as fast and just as cheap. And then another thing is like there's like a strong voice from the founder who is just constantly talking. I guess you could say Vitalik has a strong voice, but like, and he does a lot of writing and it's very influential, obviously. But like, I think there's more of like this sense of marketing and this sense of like communicating, casting vision from the Solana side, like Breakpoint and all that stuff. Like that came up in my YouTube feed, but like the Ethereum stuff doesn't. And I wasn't searching out like Solana stuff. There's and I think um so in my mindset like those are some interesting things. I guess like there's like this triangle of like things you could pick, and it's like speed, security, and something else like cost or something, and like they're not as secure as Ethereum. But then from my perspective, I care about games, and games are the like the test bed where you do things that are like I'm not a financial institution, so I'm care about more like speed and getting things done and experimenting, and that more aligns with like Solana. So like games might work better on Solana. So those are like some of my like things. I'm like, yeah, but like you guys are all in on ETH, and that's cool. I think they're like I'm not dissing ETH, but I'm saying why do you guys get mad if people are experimenting on Solana? And like I think there's some like genuine reasons that people might onboard to Solana, like in the next couple waves. So those are just some thoughts on it.
I,
Again, those are small brain. I don't have any. I'm not technical, so I don't know. You can't. I can't
yeah.
debate you on anything other than that. So,
No,
but yeah,
I would agree with you on that. I know I saw you kind of exploring Solana a little bit, and that's good. You know, like it took a while for me to learn that lesson of like like being a maxi to the point that you're disregarding other technology.
Yeah.
And one thing that I've learned now, so I work in like the IT legal space.
Okay.
So I implement, software for enterprise companies, for like large corporations, billions of dollars and stuff like that, the whole nine. And if there's one thing I learned is like you could you could have an actually technically better, superior product, but if your marketing and the user experience like isn't good,
Yeah.
or you're just not good at selling either, like none of that's gonna matter. Like
Yeah.
no one's
I
gonna
think,
buy it, no one's gonna care.
yeah.
No one's going to become like an angel user for you or like a champion. So it's like,
Yeah.
I see the same thing. I'm like, look, we can argue about this till we're blue in the face. Like ETH is better or whatever. But, I agree with you. I think
Yeah.
Solana's doing a really great job at their marketing. Like,
Yeah. And that alone, like, I don't know. I'm just, again, I don't have the technical stuff. But I have a strong intuition. I've been learning that. And I do think that I think it is worth, investigating. And the only thing about Solana for me is like, again, I'm not technical, so it's really hard for me to engage in the community. I don't do meme coins. I don't do day trading. So what am I supposed to do on Solana? There's no apps besides that. Like I want to be involved, but I can't yet because there's no tools for me to use. I'm more Figma and Docs type of dude. So unless there's someone out there that wants to build an app with me, I'm down to do that.
yeah.
Um, but yeah. So, anyways, um, but coming back maybe to like Farcaster and stuff. This is where like I think something really amazing about Farcaster is that it's like the first community I've been involved with, like in Web3, and like I think it's super important to have like that community because that's, I don't know, like I feel like I'm getting to know people. People know me, people tag me in things, people send me stuff. So and it's very base biased. And because like a lot of the early people were all from Coinbase. But yeah, I think there's still, I think Farcaster is a super interesting place. I think yeah, I don't know. Do you have specific questions you want to ask, or do you just want me to ramble about
I have a
thoughts
couple
about that?
things.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's kind of specific to Farcaster too, but like, so I know we were talking about like how you did a lot of big changes essentially. So my question is, why would you then on top of all those changes then be like, hey, let me launch a game?
Because I'm a spaz. I'm never satisfied until like I
So
make
you're
it big.
depleted.
Like yeah, I always have I've always had a side project, always. And so like so in college it was esports, and then after college it was more esports. So I was like a esports director at a community college here, Wake Tech Esports. We were varsity under athletics, gave scholarships, had jerseys, a whole dedicated room, competed nationally, and they've won a few national championships in Overwatch, League of Legends. I don't know if they won in Valorant, but they're always in the playoffs for Valorant, Rocket League, and Fortnite. So there's lots of stuff there. But like I was super interested in esports, and that was like my side gig for a while. And then I did some VR projects. I had like a VR esports team where we were competing in these like super hyper niche games. I was running it, like I wasn't playing. I'm not like good at playing. I was always like running it. And then um, now it's now it's Farcaster Games. And the reason why, there's a lot of reasons, but one reason, building is a very good way to learn. And I was trying to get a master class on how a Web3 game could work. And so there's lots of elements that I'm trying to build that are very boiled down versions of Web3 games into this. And so I want to learn. Another reason is, I mean, try to make some money, I guess. Like I'm trying to create like a micro studio where I could sustain potentially myself or just a side bit of income, building games, doing something that I genuinely love to do. And that's always been like a dream of mine of having a studio. And then, yeah, and then those are a couple of reasons. But Farcaster. So the game is Sands of Samai. Well, okay, we can go back real quick. The very first game I launched was a little dungeon. I called it like Delegati Dungeon, and it's actually in the App Store in Warpcast. If you look it up, and it's basically just a frame game. It's a frame where you can go through a dungeon, kill a monster, get a key, and then you win. And frames, I joined Farcast right after they launched Frames, and so I was like, okay, I'm going to try to make a game out of this cool new thing, and I thought it was pretty cool, and it was I was happy with the outcome. A few people played it, a few people minted the NFT, and I was happy. The thing about frames and frame games is that the algorithm does not care about how much your frame is used. It cares about likes, recasts, comments, but it does not care. It does not reward you if you have a 1,000-page frame and people are using it all day, every day. It doesn't get put in the algorithm. It gets lost forever unless you post it again. And so I was realizing that, like, if I want to make games, I need to figure out a way to keep the game in the feed, because I don't want to keep posting the same thing over and over again. That doesn't make sense. That's spammy. That's annoying. How would I do that? And so then my head went to the old fashioned, like going back to the roots of my favorite genre of games, MMORPGs. They're called MUDs, multi-user dungeons, and they're basically just text-based dungeons. So you type move forward, attack goblin, talk to NPC, but you type it all out. And with that framework, if you're always typing and casting, then it's always in the feed, and it's always in people's faces, in the sense that it's constantly living there, and it'll come up sometimes in their feed, like in their homepage, or just if you go on the channel, you'll obviously see it. But so that was kind of like the evolution of where I like started to come to Sands of Samai. And so then I was like, okay, I'll create a MUD, a multi-user dungeon. And then I found out how much it costs to hire devs. So I was like, I'm not rich. I don't have enough money to do that. So I'm going to greatly simplify it. And I mean, I'm assuming people don't know, but like, games are hard mode. Like, they're very complicated. They're very hard. There's tons of logic. Like, I don't know, like Red Dead Redemption, I believe, costs like 500 million to make. Like, they are very expensive things, and they're very risky too. And especially MMOs, like people spend hundreds of millions of dollars and then they fail, and yeah, so there's just a lot of underlying logic you have to build out, and I had to greatly simplify. So the first season of the game was just typing RPG attack or RPG run. And I had a 500 different unique monsters that you could attack, level up, fight. But it's pretty basic. It was a pretty basic proof of concept. But people played it. And I have a Dune dashboard to prove it. Like, it was an average of like, anywhere from 15 to 20 players per day. People were just typing RPG quest, and then you would RPG attack, and kill people, or defeat monsters. And yeah, I mean, that was for the simplicity of the game. I felt like it was pretty successful. Again, like, it's kind of boring, really boring, actually. And okay. First, do you want to ask me a question, or do you want me to just keep going about the game?
No, I was gonna ask you something. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and ask me.
So I do thank you for giving the kind of the breakdown of like.
I'm sorry, that was so detailed. I'm so
sorry. No, that's perfect actually. So I was saying, like, thanks for doing that actually, because I am kind of curious how you like landed on building a MUD kind of game and the logic behind it. So like regarding how you could have a frame that's used a million times, but you get no boost from
Yeah.
the algorithm
Yeah.
to have it like naturally go viral, essentially.
Yeah. Or even
And
just
how
stay relevant, not
yeah,
even
or stay
viral.
relevant,
Just
exactly.
yeah.
Other than you having to cast it
Yeah.
again, like, hey, I launched
Yeah.
the game, and like, how many times can you say I launched the game? Like, you're like,
Yeah.
dude, you launched that like 5 months ago. We get it, you
Yeah.
launched it. Like,
Yeah.
it becomes like a joke in itself almost.
Exactly.
So that's super interesting to me, like how little, not maybe not little, but like decisions like that the Merkle team is doing, and have that drove kind of some mechanics essentially of how the
Yeah.
game works.
Yeah.
That's really interesting to me. So no, you can be as detailed as you want. Those are like, that's the stuff that's the good stuff. I do have a quick, I guess, like a quick segue, and we could dive into it later if you want with season 2. But obviously Frames was like very popular and it got a lot of people to join. Like, it got you to, it looks like, to sign up and to try it out. And they got changed recently now into like this whole mini app concept. And I know me and you have talked about it, but like, has your mind or your opinion shifted a bit now with kind of where they're at with their, like, the frames and the mini apps?
No. And just to clarify, like, so I joined because of Chris Dixon, his book and his podcast. I joined like either right before or right after Frames were launched, and I was just incredibly confused of what the heck I was looking at. I was like, whatever, like, and yeah, so mini apps, like, I think I'm still trying to figure out what exactly the use case would be for them. Like, in the sense of like, I haven't fully grasped what I could build. And it's just because I've been focused on the game, and I've used like the trivia app. I've used a couple others, but like so what I'm interested in is having something that's just in your feed that you can play. And when you open the mini app, your feed and Morpcast are gone. And so that kind of defeats what I was trying to do, is just have something in the feed opposed to building something that's a completely different experience. And so that's why I haven't really dug into it that much, is because the frames are in the feed and they will be in the feed and you just keep replying and interacting. Another thing is, again, we're coming back to the same problem that I had before with purely frame interactions, is that they're not tracking. I'm not getting rewarded if they're used a lot. You have to like somehow implement like, a way for them to share. And so you're relying on people sharing it, or like mints or something. But like, it's the same problem as the frame game is, if people are using your mini app a ton, you might get, I guess, a boost on like Google SEO, but like I'm not getting a boost from the Farcaster algorithm, which, or like the Warpcast algorithm or the Supercast algorithm. I'm just like, so it's the same problem for me where I'm like, okay, but like, so I will in like Warpcast defense, they built a mini, like a frame slash mini app store, um, which that is a solution to my the problem. Um, Either I don't know the metrics on that, and it's not really clear like how they're measuring like who gets number one or two. Like I think it's kind of manual, but like I think they're just kind of testing it out. I know that mini apps are very popular in other apps, like I think WeChat for in China, and then like the mini apps are all over for just for some reason, like they're not getting picked up too much on Farcaster. Um, and I don't have too many thoughts off of that. It could be because of like financial incentives. For me, it's like I want things in the feed. Like
Yeah.
the point of my game that I'm designing is that it's just, you can see something like you can be chatting about crypto, and then you can see like, oh, this person's fighting this person. I'm going to buff them with fortitude so that they can get healed throughout the day. And I just help them. I gain some experience. Cool. I'm going to go back to casting. That's the experience that I'm trying to build, where it's like ingrained in your normal interaction on Farcaster, not like a separate experience. Which, some other thoughts too, like I've flirted with the idea of creating like a Farcaster client myself that's purely based off of this game, but I don't know if there's an incentive to. Like I'm still confused on why. Like so, the Farcaster team wants people to build clients, but why? Like is it like just so I can compete in this hyper competitive social media thing? And then like how many people do they think have the skills to build clients? I just like I'm not sure. This is maybe a little tangent, but I'm not sure the incentives are there. Like they're not rewarding people for using this stuff. I guess you could implement your own stuff, but again, like that audience is super small. I don't know. Random
Yeah,
thoughts. I'm sorry. I don't know if I'm
no,
answering your question.
it's funny because if you actually have you ever joined like one of those late night crew or
Yeah,
yeah, I think I've seen you on there actually. Yeah,
once or twice.
um,
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
usually putting the kids to bed or watch TV with Maddie. But
I have the exact same issue, dude. Like,
yeah,
it's 7 o'clock Pacific, and my kid literally goes to sleep between 7 and 8 Pacific.
yeah,
So
same.
I am
Yeah,
literally like, and we don't do screen time. It's funny. We could get down to talk about this in a bit with the way that like Maddie is raising your guys' kids is very like similar to my wife's thought process. So it cracks me up just seeing her post.
she's doing really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I know. I put in the notes. I was like, we could talk about you being married to an influencer as like a joke.
yeah. I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny.
uh, but yeah, like it just never works for me. Like I can't be listening to it usually because my daughter won't go to sleep because
Yeah,
she'll
yeah.
be distracted
No, I
essentially.
feel that
And then yeah, it's like our time, like you know how it is. It's like you work all day or shit posting all
all
day. It's
day,
like yeah, it's like
and
come
then
on, like
you're
I can take
absolutely exhausted.
yeah, you're like I could take an hour or two to like be present for the kids and eat dinner
Yeah,
and not be shit posting. But yeah, so yeah, they talk about similar things, and I think some people talk about it in general too, like in the feed as a whole, where it's like if there's no monetary incentive to build a client, then like
yeah,
why would you
uh,
and
yeah.
yeah.
I I also have another thought on it is like, um, people are using Farcaster like I feel like most people only really view Farcaster as like Twitter, and something that I've been trying to I've posted a few times is like, Epic Games. They have a service where they give out their social graph. So, which is essentially what Farcaster does. And so you could build. It doesn't need to be a Twitter clone. It could be a game. It could be anything, using Farcaster. So like by using Epic Games online services, they give away the Fortnite social graph. So when you build a game, if people have used Fortnite, which is just millions and millions and millions and millions of people, they would have their friends list already there. And that's essentially what Farcaster is doing, but they seem to be trying to like hyper focus on, social. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know. I've just thought like, why don't they try to get more like, instead of incentivizing like Twitter clone clients like Warpcast or Supercast, why don't they like work with some games where they're like, the first people to do this was, Small Brain, and the Words 3. It was the first time I've ever seen a game implement Farcaster as the social graph and chat. Um, and this was another really amazing inspiration for Sansa Samai, because if you could use, so a really interesting use case for Farcaster in games would be, so for context, like World of Warcraft. It's a multiplayer game, and in World of Warcraft there are channels. There is general chat where you could talk to anyone. There's trade chat where you talk about selling things. There's looking for group chat where you're talking looking for people to run dungeons to kill monsters together. And in my eyes, imagine if all of those channels were Farcaster channels. Um, and then you have like the social graph in the game. So every time you typed in game, into one of these channels, it also typed or sent it to the Farcaster channel that you would see. And the first time I saw this again was Small Brain's words 3. And when you type in the chat, it also types in the channel. And I always thought that that was a super interesting concept because you could bridge social and your game in a really unique way where everything that people are typing in game you would see on your social feed. So if you weren't playing, you could see what your friends are talking about. But then potentially, this is kind of where another inspiration for Sands of Samai is like, what if you had these micro elements in the social feed that you could play and would affect people in game? So let's say I'm working. I have to work all day today, but my friends are all raiding. I could see them talking about it in chat because I'm connected to the same Farcaster channel. But what if I could buff them and give them special powers from my Farcaster feed, and it affects them in game?
Yeah.
And I think that those are some super interesting things when like there's some people that work a lot and they can't play, but they want to be able to buff and participate or at least help and just be like, yo, I'm going to shoot you guys a buff. And then they would say, hey, thanks. I think those kind of concepts are really cool in my mind for Farcaster in the sense that this is all one shared graph, social graph, but then it's also a shared like text-based channels which could have their tentacles in all these different games that are connected. So like, yeah, I don't. So like those are like some of the thoughts where my head is at is on building on Farcasters. Like I think these elements could be really cool. I can't build. Well, I can't build my own game from scratch because it costs a lot of time and money. But like, I would really love that. I would really love to pitch to someone building a game like let's make the in-game chat Farcaster, the social graph Farcaster. I think there could be some really cool use cases for it, but I'm biased. I love games, so and I'm a game designer. So like, of course, I'm thinking in that sense. I don't know if that's the way they want to go about it, but those are some of my thoughts on it all.
Dude, it's so cool hearing your brain, like you're thinking it out loud. And I know for you, it's like, oh, I'm rambling. And I'm like, dude, no, it's freaking great hearing you talk about it out loud because there's so many interesting things that you say. Like even now that we're seeing it with season 2, like of Sands of Samai, where it's like the buff is like really cool, where Web3 is very, even though it is very US centric, like we talked about that, it is an international thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you make friends with people online abroad, like, yeah, maybe you can't join the raid, but if you are able to give like like a buff, or like you said,
Yeah,
like now I know, like, hey, I'm going to bed. I can't raid with these guys tonight because, I got to go to sleep and I got work the next day or something. But why don't I just hand out a bunch of buffs that last like 12 hours? And then by the time they wake up and play, like,
they're like, oh, dude, thanks.
You're like there in spirit,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of like, I don't know. It's just, I like that concept. It was actually a concept that was suggested to me. Someone's like, hey, like I don't have time to play, but I would love to be able to just help out if it came out in my feed. And that was like kind of an inspiration for that was like, how do I enable someone to help just with like a couple of clicks of the button? And for those that don't know, like buffs, again, are just a way to empower your friends. And you can do that in the game now. And that kind of also is, it's a social aspect where the incentive is you will get farther in the game and you will be higher on the leaderboard if you do work together, which is another like sub tangent we could go on. But like, that's a very important part of the genre that I'm interested in, which is MMORPGs, multiplayer games. And the more interdependence, the stronger the community and the stronger the game. The whole game needs to be interdependent on other people. Otherwise, it's not fun. Otherwise, you just have a social, like a single player game, which are fun, but like those games focus on different aspects. MMOs are the people are the story. The people are the lore. There is usually lore in the game, but when you interact, that's the special stuff. When you get 5 to 40 people together to take down big monsters, and form organizations around it. Like that's the special stuff. And so assists kind of play into that where, again, you're interacting. And I think we're starting to see that now with like people are tagging other people. Hey, can I get a buff today? Hey, can I get a buff today? Or we have raids now, which are just very simple 5-man monsters that you need 5 people to defeat. But you'll see people tagging, hey, join the raid, the one's up, I found one. And that's the social aspect where now you're starting to get to know someone else. And now you're starting to form bonds, and now you have like your buddy that buffs you, or you have your group of 2 priests that will give you fortitude. So you're going to ping those 2 guys. And that's what you need in these types of games. And that's what will grow it. Is that community and stuff. So
yeah,
I don't know. I'm more tangents, but
no, it's good, man. It's so funny hearing you say that because, I mean, like as an actual like user of the game, and I've slowed down a little bit in playing it, mostly from travel and other stuff.
No worries.
But I still like one of the reasons why I subbed to your hyper sub for the Sands of Samaya was kind of like, I'm just here to like help support like development. Like that's kind of like how I looked at it. I was like, obviously I want to play and I want it to be fun. And I was like I was going at it like pretty good for season 1, and then I lost steam, and now with season 2, that's exactly what happened. It's like, HODL, I think his name's like HODL CEO.
Yeah, he changed it to Uncle HODL, but yeah.
Uncle HODL, yeah. But I think, it used to be like HODL CEO or something.
Yep, exactly.
But like, he or she or they got defeated, and then they were like, I need a revive, and then I jumped in and I revived, and like, you launch raids, like you said, and like, I got a ping for a raid, and I was like, what the hell is this thing? And I was like, screw it, like I just gotta press a button and like,
it's just like, simple stuff where like you don't have to. The stuff, and that's how I've been playing, because I don't need to be on the leaderboard. I made the game like but when people ping me, then I'll help them, and because I want to incentivize that kind of behavior. I like that because you're forming friends and a community, and maybe it's super small right now, but what you're saying is like, even if you don't want to play hard, you could still get pretty decently up the leaderboard just by participating in one-off, like buffing people or reviving them or joining a raid, which is literally like 2 clicks of a button. And if it just comes up in your feed, this is that simple.
And we share like we get a little bit of XP, so that's
exactly.
Like nice.
Yeah, so you both get experience. So it's like, it's and so look, those are like that's just kind of leaning into the people who don't want to play that much but want to help support, and then there's people that like really want to play and need your support. And so like there's already like you can see the different types of players, casual versus like people going hard but need the casual because they need your buff. So like, I don't know. I think right now we're only at like 17 players like daily, which is not bad, but it's the same as season 1. So I think if we were to hit maybe 100 people, like it would be kind of wild to see all the people interacting and stuff like that. So we have some kind of ideas that we're trying to figure out of how to like get the word out a little bit better, but yeah, I mean, I'm still very happy. I'm learning a lot. Like, I'm learning a lot of like intricacies. I'm putting some some thoughts into practice. So it's still worth it in my opinion, even if a lot of people don't play it. But I think the next thing, I'm sorry, like the next thing the next season 3 will be NFT items. So items will make like swords, armor, potions. And that is we're going to create a player-to-player economy. Yeah. So like that's the next layer of it all is creating interdependence and then creating items that are better for priests, warriors, or mages. And so then if you're a priest and you loot a warrior weapon, you can sell it on OpenSea. And now we're creating value, and people can start, if they find a legendary weapon and they could sell it for $2 to $5, cool. You just made some money by playing Sands of Samaya, and it's just a player-to-player economy. It's nothing scammy, nothing. It's just genuine. Like, oh, cool, you got this weapon. I want it. You don't want it. I'll buy it off you. type of thing. But
Yeah.
those are just some thoughts for season 3.
All right, let's take a quick break. I hope you're enjoying this episode. This episode was made possible with the support of my premium subscribers: Seattle Dog, Mike Meinels, OG, Lucrece, Johan, Nonlinear, Brennan, Peachy, Inceptionally, Topos, Tanny, Tree Girl, and Branson and Disco. Yeah, thanks again, everyone, for your support. If you'd like to receive exclusive drops, access to token gated content, make sure to subscribe to my hypersub. A little bit goes a long way. You could do a month instead of anything long term. So yeah, thanks again. Let's get back to it. Yeah. No, and I do like that. Like one thing I'm noticing, like very, very, it's like very obvious to me. Like, so I've been doing this content thing now for 2+ years. Similar to you, my kid was like, I was doing it for like 3 months before my kid was born, maybe 4, I think. Then my kid was born, and like that would have been like a perfect, how it is when you have your first kid, and she was born a little underweight, so like we were having like to do triple feedings, and
wow.
It was brutal, but surprisingly, I was doing really well from like a degenning and being in crypto perspective, because I was just up every 2-3 hours. So I was just up like 24/7, just constantly. So I was really like doing really well from that perspective. And it would have been like a perfect time to have been like, hey, I'm not going to do this content stuff anymore. Cause like back then I think I had like, I don't even know, like 50 subscribers to my newsletter and stuff like that. I only had like 5 people listening to my podcast, stuff like that. Not that I have a ton now. No, don't get me wrong. I don't have a ton of people now, but it would have been like, that was a cool experiment. Like, kid's born. I don't have time for this anymore. Like, I'm done. And instead I was like, I'm just going to keep doing it. If anything, I'm just going to double down. And it's been great. But what I was going to say is like, I'm noticing in the Farcaster space, like, people are getting burned out very quickly. So like people will start, they came because of frames, or, they got the most excited out because of frames back in February. And then, they were like super bullish, like going to FarCon and spending money and developing apps and developing like little microsystems or like micro tools. And then they're like, rah, rah, rah. And then 3-4 months later, they're like, I'm burned out. Like, I'm done with Farcaster. I'm done with this, or I'm done with this tool. And so I feel like for you, like the reason why I bring it up is like, I feel like if you follow that trend of delivering something new every single Friday, which is a great commitment, like to do something weekly or something, like I'm all for like accountability and all that. But it could get tiring, like delivering, especially for something technical. Like you're like, crap, like I don't know if it's different. Like for writing, I do something every week. I do like one new piece of content, and it takes me time to like do the research. I don't know if it's the same or not. I'm sure people argue it's not. Like it's coding's harder, I guess. So I don't know. It's tiring. It's all I know. So I was a long-winded way of saying like, I like the way you're doing it. Like, I like that you started off like slow, or you started off with like season 1, and now you're like, okay, this is what season 2 is. And season 2 is like, I think season 2 is really cool. Like, I think it's actually getting me excited to go back in and start playing again some more. So
thank you.
I'm excited for season 3, and kind of any ideas that you're cooking in your head. Cause I feel like you have a good head, like good mind about gaming as a whole, and you work in the gaming industry too. So I'm sure that helps.
It does help.
So yeah, that long-winded way of like, yeah, man, take it slow and learn and all that.
Yeah. I think related to what you said about people burning out from Farcaster, personally, I think it's people on Farcaster have an extremely close connection, relationship of their emotions and the market prices of Ethereum, or just in general. But you could see the daily active users of Farcaster are like 1-to-1 with the price of Ethereum. And so as the price of Ethereum goes down, I think the enthusiasm of Farcaster goes down. So I think the positive of that is just wait for the next spike. You'll be back. Like I genuinely like this is me saying like the next Ethereum spike, like the next big one. I bet you there's gonna be a massive influx of people to Farcaster, and people are like, oh, this is great. Like, and it'll be hilarious because like I'll be there through like all the downturns because I'm just stubborn like that. But like I don't know. I think like people will be back and they're gonna be like, oh, I'm back. I don't know, and you'll be like, oh, so yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I think some other ideas that we're flirting with are like for the Moxie Gameathon, potentially implementing loot boxes in the sense that you kill a monster, you loot it. That's like a normal RPG progression, and just experimenting with the idea of having fan tokens drop out of the. So basically, all of the Moxie that's earned from the channel gets pooled, and then we buy our own fan token and then distribute them based off of level and stuff like that. And so then you would basically be able to you get a daily allocation that you can loot, and then you would be able to go and so kill monsters and get a percentage of your daily allocation, and just a way to I guess get the word out a little bit more. But then at the same time, that is like a part of the RPG like gameplay loop. Kill a monster, loot it. And so this would just be an experiment with the Moxie kind of stuff. Still learning about all that, to be honest. I'm not like I'm not someone that is like all in. I'm maybe a little bit more balanced. I think that Moxie ecosystem needs to figure out a way to bring in money, stuff like that, because otherwise you're just a typical Web3 Ponzi scheme. But I think there's some interesting stuff that they're doing. Not sure if you want to get in that, but like there's lots of ideas for this game. Again, we're trying to build an MMORPG, but just like stripped of all of the like just boiled down to the essence of what is an MMORPG, and that's a lot of people, a lot of social interaction, killing monsters, loot, player-to-player economy, and things like that. So anything that aligns with those values, we'll try to build out. But yeah, man, I mean, I don't know.
It's also like I think kind of it too, like with Farcaster, they keep changing things like everything changes like every 2 weeks,
It does.
Like, not just like from like the Merkle team, but like just in general, like Moxie, like now they're like, like, if you've earned over $250 of like Moxie, like, you're capped and you got to launch your own fan token. And then I don't know, there was some shit happening where like people were attacking someone yesterday, and I'm like, oh god, there's always something.
there's some weird drama. You're not gonna get drama from me.
Yeah,
I'm like, you guys go for it. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's some pros and cons of each of my opinion. This is just my opinion. I think it's totally fair that if people are giving away free money, that they're like, hey, you can only have this much free money. I feel like it's fine. And then if you want more free money, you have to start participating in our ecosystem. To me, that makes sense.
Seems
I don't have that much free money to give. So when I give it out, when I give it out, I decide how much I give out. I mean, it's free. And then of course, like there's a weird like if you're mean, then bad things are gonna happen to you. I don't know what to say. Like just I don't know, just trying to have like a super like okay, common sense, like what are we talking about? Why are you guys all freaking out? Like say mean things, bad things happen. I don't know what to say.
Fuck around, find out. That's pretty much it.
I don't where's the controversy here? I'm not understanding, but I don't know. Those are just my opinions. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to get spicy, but
no, you're good, man. Yeah, I'm with you. Like I was like, I agree. Like if you've got $250 is like pretty generous, and if you got to participate, in my opinion, like and literally participation is so simple. It's like you press a button and then like you have a token and that's it. Like
you don't have to do anything with it. Yeah.
participation doesn't mean like you're like, I don't know, grinding like on, I don't know. I'm used to like, I played Destiny,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, you know, I think we talked about it. I played Destiny for like 1,000 hours. I'm like,
Yeah.
we're literally talking about something way less than that. We're talking about
Yeah.
like you press a button, you create an auction, and the fan token gets
I
launched for
mean,
your channel, and that's it. Like you're done. You've now participated. Like
I think people need maybe a little frame of reference. Like, think about all the work you have to do to make money on YouTube.
yeah,
You have to grind for 1 to 2 years, and then you have to apply, and then you might get some ad revenue. If you want free money, or if you want money for participating in a social network, you just have to just get $250 for free, which is probably most people will ever earn on social media and Web2. And then if you want to apply, you can earn more. Like, when you frame it like that, you're like, why are people upset? Like, these people who have earned $250 have earned more than 99.9999% of people on Web2.
yeah. That's so. It's so
Like,
that literally like.
it's just like,
I never earned any money. Like
never.
that I'm exactly like you. Like on Twitter, even like my content, like so I have a couple like, you know, I have a hyper sub and I had a couple subscribers and stuff like that. And obviously I'm like, okay, like the hyper subs, like, you know, I'm like, all right, I guess I earned it because like you're the one hustling or whatever. But like
Yeah,
when it came to like the tips from Degen, when
yeah,
Degen was popping off, I forget what it was. Like someone gave me this is back when Degen was like nothing almost.
yeah.
Someone tipped me like 200,000 Degen.
Wow.
Yeah, which, and then it popped off and I never sold any of it actually. Like I still have all of it. But like, let's say someone gives me like 1,000 Degen even now, which I think is like, even in today's prices is like $7. I
Yeah,
have never earned $7 from Twitter,
exactly.
Instagram, and Reddit. And I've been on Reddit for over 12 years. I've been on Twitter for over 15 years. I've
Exactly.
been on Facebook since literally they allowed high schoolers to be on it. I've literally been on all these apps like for a long ass time.
Yeah.
Never earned any money from it.
That's literally like, that's why I think Farcaster is the best place for creators still. Like,
Yeah.
even if people think the vibes are down, I'm like, you guys are still earning more than 99.9999% of all people in Web2.
Yeah.
Like, it's you have to like step back and realize, like, no, you guys are the 1% of creators. You guys realize that, like, by doing like not that much on Farcaster, you're doing more than everyone else. And that's like one of the promises of Web3 is cutting out a lot of the middlemen, and how like Web2 takes all the money and doesn't give it back. But I think like YouTube does the most, and then I think X is trying to start doing that. But like,
Yeah.
yeah, still it's like a very small fraction. But
Yeah. I mean, like to talk about your wife, like she got the $5 or whatever. Like I still haven't even gotten
yeah,
that, but I'm like, dude, even if you got the $5 once, that's
yeah,
more money than like you've ever made probably in any of
exactly.
those other apps. Like,
Yeah, and so yeah, that's what I've been telling Maddie is, I'm like, she's like, I only earn like 50 cents in this token, and I was like, you earned more money than. I was like, how much money have you earned since 2008 on Facebook? And she's like, nothing. I said, like, and so it's starting to click with her too, because she's always had the idea of like, to kind of go into the final topic, like, Maddie's always like flirted with the idea of like being a stay-at-home mom kind of influencer, or like holistic living, like food and like cooking stuff from scratch, and like family and all that kind of stuff. She's a stay-at-home mom, so she loves, like, that's her thing, and baking, and but so it's like, just get on Farcaster and start casting about that stuff. Like, start posting like the same stuff you put on Instagram, put on Farcaster. Just copy paste. And she's like at like $100 now. Like,
yeah, that's hella good, dude.
and she was at like until recently she had like 200 followers, and I'm like, you're like, I fully believe she's gonna have like 100x my followers one day, because she's just good at that stuff. And like, I don't want to be popular. Like, I want my games to be popular. I don't need to be. I don't want to be an influencer. I have no desire. I'm an introvert. I might not seem like it on this, but like, because I'm spazzing out my like one hyper niche topic, but like, I'm I don't like talk, like, I'm not like an extrovert. Like, I don't want people to like to constantly be talking to me. But She
I'm
she
like
would
you.
handle it.
Like I
Yeah.
might look like I'm extroverted, but I'm actually like
Yeah.
pretty introverted myself as
Yeah.
well.
Exactly.
Like you said, like when it's about the one thing that I like feel very confident in,
Yeah.
and we've already had we already had one conversation like me and you before this.
Yeah.
That helps a lot. That's why I started
Yeah.
doing those. Is like then it makes this feel a little bit more
Yeah.
normal to me. Then I'm okay. But like for Farcaster Fridays, I go to those things and I'm like, I know like 2 people now, maybe 3 now, and I'm always like gravitating to them because like I just know them, and everybody else
Yeah.
I was like, it's not that I don't like care about you guys or any. I'm like, I clearly will vibe with you because like we're all here and
Yeah.
we're all on
Yeah.
Farcaster, but like it's still very weird to me. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly. I'm just like, encounter me in the wild and you're like, is he okay? Like, I'm just sitting there quietly glancing at my phone. Oh, yeah.
yeah.
But I'm just trying to say Maddie's super cool with like, she was like, I don't know, she's good at social. I don't like social. I don't like being on Parcaster, but I'm doing it because I genuinely see the value and I want to build like this micro game studio. I don't want to be on, like, I think the pros greatly outweigh the cons, but like personally, I'd probably be a happier person if I wasn't on any social media and I was just doing my thing. But I don't see a path of like, in this modern day world, growing what I want to do if I'm not doing that. So like,
yeah.
I know that might seem weird, but like, I don't like social. Like, that's not me. That's not me. That's Maddie. Maddie's good at it. I'm not. I can't handle it. So I don't know. Random last point.
No, yeah. I don't know if you have to, like a little more extra time.
Yeah. Yeah. I got a little.
Okay. Um, let's see, what else do we have? Yeah, let's kind of recap kind of in season 2, like what are the new things, I guess, just so like for anyone that wants to check out Sans is
Yeah.
my
So Sans is my 2, season 2, we did a lot of new things. So again, this is an RPG game. So we created classes. We have a warrior, priest, and mage class, and you pick it by doing a personality test. You can change it to whatever you want, but like I think the personality test is pretty cool. And then for each class there are spells. So each class has 5 unique spells, and this is going from just there being no classes and no spells. So it's pretty cool, pretty big upgrade. So like warrior has charge, slam, and execute, battle shout, and revenge. Mage has inflame, freeze, pyroblast, ice shield, and polymorph. And then priest has martyr, smite, heal, revive, and fortitude. So those are like all the spells, the classes, and then there's a lot of like hidden calculations. So we have classes. Certain classes do more damage to other classes. So if you look at the monsters, they have a class. So certain classes do more. I think like priest does more damage to mage. Mage does more damage to warrior, and warrior does more damage to priest by like 20%. And then there's a lot of RNG in the background of like ranges of damage. There's critical strikes. So like there's a lot of RNG in the numbers now. It's not just you're not doing the same amount of damage, which is exciting. And then we have raids, which are just very simplistic raids. So essentially, they will happen randomly 3 times per day, and you have 60 minutes to get 5 people to join the raid. If you do successfully, everyone gets a big chunk of experience. If you don't get enough people or you join late, it fails. And then all of this is done through frames. So we brought back the frame, but it's still cast based. So you press a button and it pre-fills a reply for you. So this is more of a hybrid approach. So if you look at it, there's a bunch of visuals. Right now, there's 285 unique monsters. I'll probably add more. And so you'd go and press attack and then the spell, and then precast it and stuff like that. And then we've mentioned it before, but there's assist things where you can help other people, give them more attack, reduce the damage taken, or heal them. And then, yeah, That's basically it. There's a website that has the full like NFT collection. There's a leaderboard. Everyone has their own profile that's on the leaderboard. So if you click their name on the leaderboard, um, and then yeah, so that's all season two. There's a lot of like just a lot of back end work on all that, but then this is a huge like visual experience update, and I think it's like really solidifies like kind of like the vision. Um, and then yeah, again, next update would be NFT items. So you got swords, armor, staves, potions, and that would all be NFT based and tradable on third party marketplaces to solidify the concept of a player to player marketplace or a player to
Yeah.
player economy. But yeah,
Those are a lot of great changes, man, honestly.
yeah, thank you.
No, seriously, like it's good, you know. Like I know we talked about it, like one of the feedbacks I had like early on was like, hey, just use the frame like just
Yeah,
for a visual of like the NFT that like you're trying to defeat. Like it's not
mm-hmm.
even like you said, like it's still text based, which
Mm-hmm.
um with the reasoning behind it, like it's actually pretty great. Another cool thing that like that kind of popped into my mind while you were saying all this is like I know Farcaster has even like talked about having like who's active, you know, like if you've ever been
Yeah,
on Telegram or
yeah,
something or Instagram, it shows like a little green bubble for
yeah,
people that
yeah.
are active and you can opt in, opt out. But like I feel like that could even for you, like that could be something you could tap into for the game, you know?
Yeah, I
Like
think there could be some really cool stuff with that. Um, Man, I have lots of ideas. The hardest thing for me is I don't have any money. And so I have to hire devs. I'm not technical. And so if anyone's ever interested in like, joining, I don't know. I don't know how we would all do it, but um, I really, there's a lot of cool things. I think we could like build this up slowly to the point where like it's taking up like a huge chunk of Farcaster activity. You can see there's the top Farcaster channels. We're in the top Farcaster channel, but it's a little bit hacked in the sense that the bot replies so much, and people in all of your casts are replies, and all of your spells are replies. So that is, but that at the same time, that's the whole point. Is those are the metrics that the network cares about.
yeah.
But we are in the top channels in terms of engagement. So you're like, each day we're getting 4 to 6 thousand frame interactions, and then each player is replying like anywhere from like obviously one time to like 200 times per player. Like there's a ton of engagement per player, and so it's there. I just think once we need to like, I don't know, figure out a way to share it with more people or get people more interested. I'm not sure. Um,
Yeah,
but
the dude dashboards is pretty cool. Like to share that. Have you thought about like maybe doing like here, let me look actually. Let me go look at your channel real quick.
I, I mean, just while you're looking, I have a dashboard too for Sansa Samai. If anyone's interested in looking, but like, uh, there are daily players. There's 17 daily players, and each player interacts a lot. So, um, I think that's good. That's a good signal. It's a very small amount of people. It could be from the fact that, like you said earlier, a lot of people are leaving Farcaster or like temporarily, done until the price goes up. But uh, did you find what you're looking for?
Yeah, I was gonna say you could have like a banner competition. I'm trying to think of ways like you could get it out there. Have you thought about like applying for some funding, like from
We're gonna
like
do. We're
DAOs
gonna.
or Octin or something like that?
I don't know anyone, so I don't know anyone that would be doing it. There was a Polygon grant, but I wanted to keep things on base for now. And then I the Moxie Gameathon thing, there's like 20,000 up for grabs. But yeah, if anyone is interested or knows someone, I mean, please just reach out to me. I respond to everyone. And so, but yeah, I think there's overall, I'm biased, but I think there's a really cool potential to create a mini MMO on Farcaster. I don't think the Farcaster team really cares about games, but I'm gonna prove them wrong. Because I think genuinely, like, think about, like, if one person is commenting in a channel 200 times a day, that's engagement. Like, that they're playing something. They're driving growth. Like, that is retention. Like, I'm not to call anyone out, but like, there are certain people that, like, that's mostly what they do is play this game. And in my eyes, that is help. Like, that is keeping people on Farcaster. Like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
so
I know they get into like this weird like quality daily active user and like
yeah,
quality is subjective, and then they're like, is that actually like benefiting? Like we get all philosophical about it, and I'm like,
yeah,
dude, like if this game didn't exist, or that's the reason why someone like, so I'll give you an example. So I think you're playing this too. Like I'm playing Stokefire, and I was going to ask you
yeah,
a little bit about
yeah,
other
yeah.
kind of Web3 games as a whole. But like, like it's gotten to the point where, um, sometimes like it's a 72-hour clock or a 3-day clock, which can
Mm-hmm.
be kind of hard for like just life as a whole.
Yeah,
Um, so I've had to like make reminders sometimes to just keep that
yeah,
fire going. But like,
yeah.
I
I
know
do
for some
too.
people, they were saying like they're so deep into like the Stokefire game that like, they wake up and that's like the first thing they're doing. And
Yeah.
I'm like, but the thing is like, it's an app away from Farcaster,
Yes.
like, and so for you, I'm like, you've thought about it to the point of like, hey, like you're bringing them like to play your game, they gotta go in into
Yeah.
Farcaster to go play it. And on
Yeah.
top of that, they're not going to a mini app. Like they're going like it's in the feed. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I
so
think.
you've already if you're hooking them again, up for debate regarding quality daily active user or whatever. Like is this cast a banger, whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like I'm with you. Like I know we've had discussions about like I think everyone's super hyper focused on like stable coins and degen and meme coins and like NFT art and all these other things and how that's going to onboard like the next million. I'm like, dude, I think it's going to be gaming. Like, I think
Yeah.
Web3 gaming is like the red pill that gets everybody, or the blue
Yeah.
pill, whatever.
Well,
Yeah.
and there's some like historical kind of thought behind that too. Like, you realize that, like, the reason we have AI is because of games. Like, in the sense that, like, all the early AI training facilities, like, there was like the National Defense had a massive AI thing, and it was all using PS3 GPUs. And the reason why there's GPUs is because of gaming. And
That's
like,
correct.
um, the gaming pushes technology forward, and people maybe think they're too intellectual or too cool or too smart to realize that. But like, gaming is the frontier of like culture and tech, because that's where you're experimenting. That kind of comes back to my Solana point of like, that you're there to experiment, push it to the limits, and grow it, and like, the amount of computation needed. Like, World of Warcraft, I was reading the initial development diary from like 1998 to 2002 ish, and at the time, World of Warcraft accounted for like half the internet. I believe it was download speeds. Let's see here. I have I have it because I was telling someone earlier. Let's see here. Um, until YouTube began streaming videos a year later, WoW servers handled over 10% of global internet bandwidth and downloads, and its players contributed to roughly half of global internet traffic at any time.
Jesus,
Um,
dude.
so if you're that's how big games can be, and think about it in the context of these chains, right? Like, let's imagine that, like, we launched the coolest Web3 game MMO out there, and now it accounts for half of all transactions on Base or Solana or whatever. And then people are like, oh, games are great. Like, that's the exact, like, I'm going to take that internet type of stat and put it on chain. And I'm going to say, I'm going to show everyone, like, hey, like, we're going to create a game that handles the bulk of volume on this chain. Like, that's, at least maybe that's really like cocky of me, but like, that's my mindset of like, I think that games are going to onboard people because we're going to create something so fun and so new, mind blowing, that people, and I'm not just talking about Sans Mind, I'm maybe just talking about in general, like, my life lifetime, like my life goals is like to create something like that, like that is so impactful that it blows people's minds, and they don't. It is the architecture is blockchain based, but they don't really necessarily care about that too much. But it's going to be powered by it, and I think games will do that. Personally, I'm biased, but I think games will do that, and I think games are going to push blockchains forward. And we're going to sit like these awesome worlds. Like we didn't even talk about like autonomous worlds or like unstoppable worlds, like fully on-chain games. But like that's where you really start getting to like metaversey type stuff, where like you create a world and that has like an economy where like okay, you MMORPGs is the blueprint for creating the metaverse, because these are the only games that have, or I guess like Eve too, but like these MMO games have player economies that people want to spend like like thousands, tens of thousands of hours playing and living in, and no other game like kind of really does that. Like, and so if you could put that fully on chain, like where all game logic is possible, and there's an example of like a Solana like magic block doing this with the game, where like there's no servers, it's all fully on chain, the game logic and everything. Then like you can create these worlds that no one can delete, like no one can turn off, and so then now you have like these MMOs where people can build on it, and there's an economy, and so now you can like literally like make some money by playing games in this virtual economy. And I think that's where like the metaverse kind of type of stuff comes. I think it'll like blockchain will be like the foundation of it all. I don't think like people are going to give a crap about like the technical aspects, in the sense that when they're playing games they don't care that they're running on servers. But like
Yeah.
I don't know, I just went full like rambling on you, but like that's
No,
that's where I
it's
see a
good
lot of this
because
stuff.
I think you're right. I mean, like no one buys a new like. I'm trying to think of I don't know. No one's buying the new COD because it's like on Unreal Engine 2 or something like that. You know, everyone's just buying it because it's fun. Like,
Exactly.
no one's talking about the nerdy shit. Like, the only time I've ever talked about my GPU specs is literally when I was buying it. Like, that's it. Any other time, I've never spoken about it ever. Like, other than like when some nerds like. And I classify myself also as a nerd too, like just so no one gets offended. But like, so I was like, oh, like what GPU do you got? And I'm like, how fast is it? And I'm like, cool, like it does this. But like in real life, like the only difference I've noticed for me is like, when I render 4K videos or something, and that's about it. Like
when you're pushing it to the limits.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. But I don't even play games that push it to the limit. Like that's the depressing thing, it's like I'm playing Switch on it, or I'm playing something like, Don't Starve together.
Yeah.
And you don't need a freaking.
No, you don't. But it's awesome.
GPU
I do too.
But it's fucking.
I play WoW Classic and on my freaking like 4070. Like you don't need that for WoW Classic.
Exactly.
I got WoW Classic on my Steam Deck, so you can play it on this. And it's smoothly on the highest graphics.
I need to get one of those. But yeah, like I did want to talk to you a little bit about like because I know we've talked about it. Like this is like even as a non. So I used to play a lot of games, and I still do, but like now I play mostly. I think we've talked about this. Like I play mostly like Game Boy games, just because like I can save and end it like pretty quickly. Like Pokemon, like I still play Pokemon, because you can play for 10, 15 minutes. Hit save and then turn it off, and that's it. Like I used to play like Uncharted and these like PlayStation games that were like single player, and like there was like no real good place you could pause it, like, or you have to like dedicate like more than like an hour plus to it. And I just don't have that like level of luxury anymore. So like that's what makes, even like as a quasi wannabe gamer and Web3 enthusiast, I'm like, Web3 gaming it's where it's at, man. I feel like it's gonna get people, like you said, no one's gonna care about the chain, no one's gonna care about the speed and all that. Well, I guess they will care about the speed, but like, they don't really, like, to a certain extent, like as long as it's playable and stuff like that. Like, I think it's fun, they'll play it.
I don't know. There's a lot of stuff we could talk about, but I think, I don't know. We'll see. I think it's really easy to get caught up in this chain or that chain or this token or that token. But just stepping back a lot, I think we're all working on some pretty cool stuff. I think we're going to accidentally figure something out. I think like it's going to be, it'll emerge from a bunch of seemingly random things, and then one day someone's going to create something, and it's going to click, and it's going to hit mainstream, and there you go. I think like that's in the most general form, like that's how it's going to work. And I hope it's me. I want to be a part of that. You know, like I want to be a part of the team that's like ruthlessly experimenting with these games until something just feels so good that you're like, okay, I'm waking up early for before work to play this, or like I'm staying up a little late because I got to play this, or if you're in high school or middle school, you're playing it on the weekends all day. Like I want to create that because that's my experience with like RuneScape and World of Warcraft, and I want to recreate that, but like in the next like major way. And I don't know, those are some of like my like lifelong, like that's what I want to do. Like I want to be that guy. So I don't know. Heard it here first.
Yeah,
Maddie's
yeah,
heard it plenty of
exactly.
times, but
No, I know exactly what you mean. Recreating that magic from the early days. I mean, for me, it's still like, game rooms or like voice chats. I think about like the first Modern Warfare or Modern Warfare 2. I'm like, dude, kids these days don't know about those first like chat rooms that we had when we were finally able to like speak on the
yeah,
microphone and hear each other. Like the
yeah,
amount of like shit talking we did
yeah. Oh yeah,
in Halo and stuff like in the
yeah. Halo,
Xbox
Call
days.
of Duty.
I just think about all that stuff and I'm like, dude, if only people knew.
I mean, I'm
uh,
pretty sure they're still doing it in like Fortnite or
yeah, I think so too.
Roblox,
I
but
think they are. Yeah.
yeah,
The boomer and me is like nostalgic about that. But yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Like I used to wake up super early to like watch cartoons or anime and play video games, and we just need that level of magic. And if it's on a Web3, like it's gonna be on a blockchain, it's gonna be nuts.
yeah. I think there's some again, like we still haven't. I think it's just it. There's just going to be something that emerges, and it'll just click, and then people will be like, "Oh, how did we not expect this all along?" Uh,
Yeah.
but I don't think.
Um,
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, it's one of those where like I know this is the place to be. I just don't know what to do. And so I'm just constantly like, that's why I'm doing the Sands of Demise. Like I need to get an intuition. I need to get a feel for how this stuff works or how it could work. What are the pros and cons? Where is it awkward? Where does it feel really good? Um, and I don't know, but yeah,
yeah. I'm betting you'll figure it out, man. I mean,
I
that's
appreciate
where.
it.
Yeah, no, seriously, I'm not even joking. Like, I feel like you have the in real life experience. I feel like it's actually kind of benefited you a little bit, maybe coming in later. From like a Web3 perspective, I feel like you're you're very familiar with like the pain points of like getting onto crypto recently.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot better now, but like as you know, we still got a long way to go. Things like Privy are making it better, but yeah,
Privy's
like
nice.
where we still got a long way to go. So I feel like I'm like you. Like I don't know what I'm doing on Farcaster. Like I'm doing this content thing right now, and I like it from the perspective that I get to meet new people and really connect with them, and like I get to chat with you for like an hour plus. And again, thank you for taking the time.
Yeah,
So like I like that aspect of it. My content hasn't popped off on YouTube and
yeah,
Twitter and Warcast and all that, and I'm okay with that because I'm like meeting cool people. But at some point, I'm like, you know, uh, I'm hoping something will like I'm experimenting, so I'm hoping something will finally click, and then
yeah.
th-
It's like, do I continue with this? Start something new.
yeah,
And
exactly.
I've
So
done that for like my whole life, and so it's
yeah,
very frustrating. I hate that feeling.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm like you. I'm like I know I'm in the right place. I just gotta like you know try new things, experiment, keep my eyes open,
yeah,
and meet people, and it will work out. Yeah. Speaking of, so are you playing any other Web3 games or any games in general right now that inspire
um
you or give you ideas or?
honestly, I don't actually. I've never actually played a Web3 game that I've enjoyed. Um, I honestly think they're all pretty crap. Um, like genuinely, like I know that like the amount of the amount of copium that goes on with Web3 gamers is unreal. I do it. If I play, I'm studying the like token stuff or how does it feel for like onboarding but none of it's fun. So I just play Web2 games. So I always play WoW Classic with my brother, like my friend, Baldur's Gate 3, um, and then a bunch of random like survival crafting games with some buddies. Um, and yeah, I'm always a fan. My favorite genre is like fantasy RPG, but I'll play other stuff. But yeah, that's what I'm playing. And what else? Oh, Hades is really good. It's like I love the art in Hades, like the best art in any game. Like it's my favorite. But yeah, that's what
I
I've been playing.
I feel you on the Web3 gaming. Like, it's so funny. Like, I feel like Web3 games are so hyper focused on what tech stack they're on. So like like
Yeah,
are they on Solana? Are they on Ethereum? Are they on
yeah,
Bitcoin? They're so focused on that, and they're so focused on the tokenomics.
yeah,
Like gotta have a token and gotta
yeah,
figure out a way. Like, and then I'm like, dude, but
yeah,
the game itself isn't fun.
yeah.
Like that
I
defeats the
know.
whole purpose of it. Like
Yeah,
I almost feel like it's almost like better to like have a fun game and then figure out all that other stuff,
I
like
agree.
why
Yeah,
I feel like
uh,
everyone's so hyper focused on trying the other way. And I'm like, has anyone ever thought about doing it this other way? Like,
yeah, and everyone thinks that like, yeah, I don't know. I have a lot of thoughts on that. Um, but I gotta, yeah, I need to bring some kids in from the car. But
oh, no worries.
um, I've really enjoyed chatting, but and
I,
always down to chat again.
yeah, I got one more
But
question before you wrap up.
yeah,
We could be quick. Favorite snack?
my favorite snack, like it's like not food, like snack, like just
Yeah.
at the computer. This can't. Okay,
You could
recently
say
it's
apples. That's fine too.
recently there's this brand like grass-fed organic ice cream, and it's got a matcha chocolate chip, and it's pretty freaking good. I'm pretty impressed. That's been my go-to treat. But like snacks, oh dude, I love RX bars so much. Like the thing is, I'll eat a whole box in like a sitting. Like I'll just eat them, and I just can't help myself because I'm a freaking loser. Like I just eat them all, and I get in trouble, but I don't care because I was like, okay, I'll just go buy more.
Yeah. They're like, there's a solution to this. I'll buy more.
Yeah, but yeah, let's say RX bars is my
All right.
final answer.
RX bars. There you go. I see you
Yeah,
being healthy.
it's not when you eat that much.
No, I know. I'm sure eating a whole box doesn't help you.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
All right. Well, thanks again, man. I appreciate your time, and
yeah,
I hope we get to do it again.
yeah. We're always down to chat again.
Yep. All right, man. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Welcome back. That's a wrap on that episode. You made it through the whole thing. Thank you for that. Before we kind of head off, this week's cast off, and for those not familiar with cast off, it's a section where I want to hear from you, the audience. So this week's episode cast off question is, what do you think about Web3 gaming? Are you bullish, bearish on it? Do you think it's a great way to onboard people? Is it making something that's supposed to be fun and easy too complex? Let me know. You can let me know on Farcaster Area 51 channel or on the Telegram channel. All links are provided there. Join. I'll be tipping people DGen, for best answers. Yeah, so if you're on pods, make sure to subscribe from your favorite Web2 podcasting app. If you are not on pods, or if you're not on pods, make sure you go to pods, collect this episode. I'll probably be doing an airdrop around the 25th episode. Feel free to send me kind of topics or people you'd like me to get in touch with. I have an open period now that we're doing, calling it the Covenant. We're going to be doing it all on chain. So yeah, just stick around. I got another Web3 game developer coming on. So exciting times over here at Behind the Screen with Gramajo. So, all right, take care. See you next time.